right, good evening and welcome to the program Spot On. My name is Jacqueline Adibija. And this evening we have with us a guest, but before then I must say that my colleague Jeffrey Adiku is with us. There are so many issues in Nigeria. I'm talking about challenges that are actually threatening to choke us all, not just a few, all of us. And yet we must continue to work to find a way forward. Today we want to take a look at, like I said, the issues are many, but we've been able to distill them into the decay in the moral fabric of our society. Whether you're looking at the woeful JAMB result that we had for 2021, by the way, statistics, what we have is about 7 million students having taken JAMB and about 6 point something million of them failing. So we had about 900 and something thousand students who actually passed. We could actually approximate to 1 million, but they weren't even up to 1 million. Whether you're looking at that or you're looking at the fact that today we have young people who have lost very low or have lost their moral compass, you'll find out that we really do have a situation on our hands, not just presently, but even in the future. Like I said, with me in the studio is Jeffrey Adiku. He will be taking on my guest together in the person of Mr. Timothy Dokpesi. Mr. Timothy, it's good to have you once again with us in the studio.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, I would like to start before Jeffrey, jumps in on this. Now, talking about the moral fabric of this society and what it portends for our future, that means that we're looking at the youths. We're not even looking at the adults of today, but the youths of today. As someone who is in the educational sector, as someone who is a parent, as someone who is also a counselor to young adults nowadays, Mr. Dokpesi, what would you say is the general picture of the morals of our youths of today?
Yeah, once again, thank you for having me. It's good to be here once again, and I want to be happy that we are addressing a very significant issue. Because once the moral foundation of a society is destroyed, nothing more is remaining. Mm-hmm. And because that is a very fundamental factor to development. You see, when we talk about development is integral. Development does not necessarily have to do with structures. Also, morality is very, very vital. And I think in our age today, most especially in an era of materialism, sexual revolution, the decline of morality is completely on the baseline.
This is your general picture?
No, it's a general picture. And of course, unfortunately, stakeholders who are supposed to be mentors, stakeholders who are even parents who are supposed to be guidance to these children, have completely lost. Not all, of course, not all parents, but I can guarantee you that if I'm to do statistics, Jacqueline, if I'm to do statistics, I would say 70%
of parents have failed. Now, this problem as we have it, is it just the parents? We're talking 70% of parents now, or do we have even more people within the periphery of that child or that young adult's life?
You remember I just said stakeholders.
Stakeholders, right.
You understand? But my particular reference here are to parents, because I'm in the academics. I know what I see. Let me give you for example. A parent brings a child to school, and while this child is trying to do his documentation, the parent is busy taking the child from one place to another. You get what I'm saying? When you tell the parents, leave the child, let the child begin to learn himself. No, I just want to make sure that you don't need to make sure. allow the child to begin to take responsibility. We no longer give children such kind of, freedom to exercise such responsibility. We just feel that guiding the child is all about being there always for the child. For example, as a young boy, I schooled in Lokoja and I was there in Kaduna. The only time my parents took me to Lokoja, of course, except for the insecurity now, the only time my parents took me to Lokoja was when they were going to look for the admission. From the second term, I went alone. I found my way to the school alone.
Mr. Timothy, you just admitted right now that except for the insecurity.
But even before the insecurity, it's not a matter of. So, if a father brings a child to the school, and the child is supposed to go and do this registration himself, to at least for the child to also learn the process. Sometimes the parents will even tell the child to sit and let him go and do it. That's the point. So it's not even all about traveling or this, but I'm even talking about within the academic environment. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you will see that not allowing the child to take, even in the area, let's even talk about even the area of choice of courses. Parents play a fundamental role because I am a lawyer, therefore the child should also be a lawyer. So the inability for allowing the child to have that leverage to know what is right from what is wrong. Because when we talk about morals, it's knowing what is right from what is wrong. It's a problem. It's a very big problem.
Okay, so what do you think necessitates parents' failure, regarding the morality of their words?
Yeah, this is very, very simple. You see, kind of parents we breed nowadays, the kind of parents we are having nowadays, the idea is this: I don't want my child to suffer. I don't want my child to go through stress. I don't want my child to. So the question is, what is our perception about suffering? And of course, the media is not even helping matters. Are you know what I'm saying?
How so?
How so? Because the kind of music that comes to play. If, for example, let me just give for example. Now money be fine, bobo. These things go inside the child. Versace and Gucci. And these are music young children sing. That's what I'm saying. So the baseline, the fundamentals that constitute development is not pictured integrally, but based on the external. So until we're able to create a very good roadmap as to what we consider values. For example, when I tell my child to do something, am I stressing that child? Or I'm telling that child to learn? I'm doing it in such a way that the child will learn. So, like you said, there are a lot of things that are, when it comes to the issue of foundational morality, a lot of things are involved. So many things. And so therefore, nothing should be taken for granted in the bringing up of the child. Nothing. Whether his social life, the religious life, the cultural life, very important. Most especially when it has to do with culture. Because you discover that today, a child, certain things that are culturally inclined. The impression is that you are civilized, we're in a civilized world. The question is, what do you understand by being civilized? What do you understand by being civilized? So, and also again, take note, education to plays a fundamental role. Clarification of concepts. Having the idea that this is what this thing means. Because by the time you are telling a child is telling you we are in a civilized world. What does that tell you? That there's a sense of liberalization. That the world has gone through some sense of liberalization. I can do whatever I want to do. But you forget that freedom comes with responsibility. You in fact, to be free is to be responsible. If you go to America, this is the land of the free. If really America is truly the land of the free, you hear this, don't urinate here. Don't do this here. Man is not absolutely free. Responsibility is very vital to human freedom.
All right, let's talk about the culture that you touched on.
Yeah.
And, you highlighting it as something very, very important. Now, let's talk about greeting, for instance.
Good.
There was a time when it wasn't possible for you to see an elder or someone older standing even in a bus when younger ones would be sitting down.
Exactly, yes.
Today, the story is different.
Of course.
However, you would hear it even from adults that in my culture, we don't stoop to greet.
Yes.
There are certain cultures in Nigeria where a mark of respect is for you to go down.
Of course.
But it's not all cultures.
Yeah. No.
So can we begin to blame liberalization or westernization for part of this decay that we're seeing as how truly there are cultures in Nigeria where it isn't regarded as a mark of respect?
The problem is I'm not blaming westernization. I'm not blaming westernization. I am saying if from the starting point of the parents. Now let me even come to the idea of greeting. I don't like projecting as if to say I want to project maybe Veritas University is a standard. Jacqueline, I can tell you when you're entering Veritas University in Abuja, from the gate, as you are meeting students, 90% of students must greet you. It's a culture we imbibed in the student. As long as you are passing there, you are passing. Sometimes I get fed up of greetings in my university. Because as you are passing, students must greet you. Even before I got a job in that university, when I go just to visit, students don't but they greet. And I say, wow.
So is it the school that is teaching this?
No, for me, because I'm in the school, I know that it's one of the principles, guiding principles we impact on the student when it comes to respect. Now, you see,
do you teach your students to get up in the presence of people older than them, or is it just the greeting that we're talking about? Because it's a whole spectrum. When we're talking about,
you brought about the issue of greeting.
Yes,
and
I used it only as an example.
I want to tell you something.
Right.
Like I said, it's an emphasis in my university. Now, my child did a school called one of the primary schools. At the point, my child, if he's greeting you, he double left, he lies down. And I understand from the fact that he is coming from the owner of that school is a Yoruba woman. So I understood that. So my child will want to greet you, he lies down. You know what I'm saying? He does it. Now, even as they are growing now, because of them watching movies from Western, they want cartoon. But even if they are greeting you, they greet you and you see that sense of respect is there. So, in as much as...
My question, Timothy Dokwesi, is this. If a parent does not, you cannot give what you don't have.
Yes.
So if a parent is coming from a background where things like this are non-existent, how can you give it?
Yeah, you see, first and foremost...
So can we even begin to blame the parents?
If a parent is coming from a background, see, you cannot come into a culture and act aloof of that culture. It's not possible.
When you're in Rome, you mean...
You like Romans. You learn. You get what I'm saying? So, if, for example, you are brought up in of course, even if you grew up in America, you give birth and you want to relocate to Nigeria, if a child sees a child lying down and greeting people, you also learn. If the child is open to learning, if he's trained to be open to learn, and of course, I know people from the Western world, if they come to, if they see that, they do it that way, because that's what they have met, because they respect cultures. When they come in contact with it, they respect it. So you cannot completely do away with our African culture. It's not possible. So there are certain rudiments when you are bringing up a child that you know are necessary to inculcate on that child. And so when you miss it, it's like when you like what happens nowadays. A child is in primary 4, you want to take the child to JSS1 because you feel the child is brilliant. And you forget that there's a difference between when one is brilliant and when one is intelligent. A child who is brilliant might know how to cram and pour it. But the one who is intelligent, he might not know how to cram and pour. But when he sees an elder, he knows that if he has to stand up. Now, who will you take as respectful? The child who sees you standing and gets up from his seat and allow you to sit down, and the one whom you think is brilliant.
No, so you actually said you cannot give what you don't
Name
have.
that quad don't have it. I agree with you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, in this case, of course, there's no one parent of God. They are both parents
Yes.
at home.
Yes.
Now, in such cases, do you think the fault is from both parents, or maybe, for instance, now my wife might be doing something I'm not comfortable with?
Yes.
You know, by bringing up the children.
Yes.
As a man, I wouldn't stand there and watch because I know what's right and I know what's wrong. So now, who do you think have the bigger role to play?
No. It's not it's not a competition. Both parties have role to play. It's not a competition. It's
now,
not,
how come a child will grow up disrespecting elderly ones? Because I believe it starts from the home.
Yes.
Now, what is the reason? How did that happen?
Because something went wrong somewhere, and that is why you see. And that is why you see. And I said something here. Integral development comes from is multidimensional. The environment, very important. Where is my child growing up from? The child who grows up in Ajegule and the one who grows up in Barnau, they are two different things. So when you see certain tendencies in the one growing from Ajegule, you understand that this is coming from Ajegule. When you see the one comporting himself from Barnau, okay, this one is a Barnau brought up. You understand? But again, that is not a criteria to conclude as to say, because you could still see a child who grows up in Ajegule and yet still be respectful. But again, that tells you that that child's training is really rooted in the parents' upbringing, and even when he encounters an external influence, he tries to remember where it's coming from.
Let's quickly go to other issues because, like I said, this decay in the moral fabric goes even beyond the comportment of young adults towards those who are older than them. It's an understatement to actually say that we have a generation of young people who are very critical and very disrespectful of the generations that are above them. There seems to be this disregard for those who have gone, those who are older, probably because we haven't even done well either. Probably because we haven't laid good examples enough. I mean, the bad examples are replete from public life to private life. However, let's pick up on some of those things that you said. This distinction between those who grew up in the ghetto and those who grew up supposedly in affluence seems to be a driving factor for a lot of us who probably grew up from humble beginnings, and that even helped us to become better today. But we have become a people who are raising children. We go out of our way to give that impression that my child has been raised in affluence. What do you think? Why do you think this is? Why are we? I'm talking about us now, the stakeholders in the lives of these children.
Yes.
Why do you think we have this driving need to paint that picture for the world that, look, my child comes from affluence?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You see, I had a discussion with a friend of mine here in Brna, and he was trying to let me know the kind of way he's bringing up his children. He said something that one day he drove with his kids and they went to Amadu Bello Way, and he purposely drove through that place so that he could see where children are begging for food, and those who were hawking and selling pure water, selling this. And he now said to them, "Can you see your mates, what they're doing?" And the children were, he said, "You see, you know why I brought you here? I brought you here because I am alive. That is why you have the privilege of what you are having. Be rest assured that if I die today, you might end up like these children." That's a moral lesson. Now, as those children are growing up, the so-called street intelligence, they will be having sense. He said something to them which really struck me. He told them, so therefore, use every opportunity you have now with the resources I have to be what you want to be. think if those kids, you see, they might be kids, but as they go back home, a lot of things will be bugging in their minds. Like you said, some of us grew up from very poor homes. You see, and we knew the kind of poverty we came out from. And the only thing my father will tell us then, the only hope you have is education. And Jacqueline, I must tell you, it sank into me. I took education very, very seriously. And I'm not bragging. If you go even look at my younger you, education was so. Even when we have no shoes, even when we don't have the good clothes to wear, as long as we were in the class, even at times when they chase us out for school fees, when some children will be very happy that they have been chased home, we will jump to the fence and enter the class because that was the only hope. Because my father would say that is the only hope you have. If there was a time on the internet, on Facebook, where somebody posted and said he was driving with his child and the child was laughing at a young boy who was wearing two different shoes. And the father of the child said he felt bad. That how can my child at this age begin to have this kind of trying to know who is right from who is good and what, you know? And you know what he did? He said the shoe they had, he collected them and bought them that kind of shoes that was like that of the one they laughed at. Moral lesson. Do we still do it? You want to give the impression to our kids that you are the best of all. That you have what you have, this affluence you have is a right. And so therefore, you give them all it takes. But how many times do you put them in a situation for them to know that, look, I've had one or two opportunities to talk to students and I said to them, most people when they are messing up, I said, you are acting this way because your parents have the money. Have you ever thought that if your father drops dead now, who will sponsor you? You see the story, they go into them. And at that point, they realize that what they are doing is wrong. They realize it. So, as parents, even if you have those affluence, please, I don't think it's appropriate that you just have to continuously display it and not at a point let them know that, look, in life, all might not necessarily be well. It's a moral lesson. It's a moral lesson. They go to church. What did they learn in church now? Even what they learn in church now is prosperity. How to, you shall be rich in Jesus' name. So a child is coming home. You will be rich, daddy. You will be. So as if riches has become, everybody must not be rich. And I think our children should begin to know that. Everybody must not be rich. There's nothing wrong in having wealth. But not everybody will have wealth. Not everybody. Jesus Christ told the woman with the alabaster jar of oil, he said, you will have the poor always with you. So they are telling a child that, look, we are in a society where there's a rich and where there's where we have the poor. As the child grows, also make him to realize that you will not always be rich. This money will not always be there. Sometimes put the child through a difficult, put him on a testing level, put him through difficult situations. My child will ask me for something and say, I will not give you because I don't have money. And that is why now, once I tell my child, I don't have the money, it's okay. Daddy does not have the money, let's not disturb you. Already, what are you building them? That you will not always have money. Well, when a child asks for everything you give to him, he asks for everything you give to him, he asks for everything, be sure, rest assured that that child will not be able to withstand difficult situations when they come because he is used to, I have it always, I have it always, I have it always.
So this is a very potent thing you've said, because I've always wondered why you would see children from affluent homes being the runs girls at parties where big guys are.
Thank you very much.
You know, and this, what you just said, just makes sense, that they do not understand not having.
Yes. We are confronted with these issues in different universities in Nigeria. We are confronted with these issues. Many of them, and some of these parents don't know. Sometimes you see some of these parents, when they come and project their children as if their children are perfect, I just laugh. Some of these children, you see them and like you are very correct, they are the ones who are strippers in nightclubs. Parents, children of the affluence. Some of them, especially in Abuja, some of them you see in street clubs are not children of the poor. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I've seen. Most of them you see in areas like Wuse. Go and check. There are various universities within that axis. Check their background. They are children of the affluence. Those who have.
Because they're not used to
because they are not used to not having.
So at a little adversity.
Yes, they take advantage of it. Because they cannot see this. They come to campus. They want to be the ones to maintain their standard. They want to wear the best of weapons. That competition you see there.
And their thinking cannot go beyond.
No. That's why I said one thing about money. Materialism. This crave for money. So we have dethroned value to material acquisition. And of course, Instagram. By the time they go to Instagram, it becomes worse even. As I'm not even in Instagram. What am I using it for? But somebody sees something in Instagram, the next thing he's going to, what's the name of this? These people that sell online. What's the name?
The online shops.
Online shops. A child will just be there. And some parents, what they do is that they might even connect their phones, their alerts to their. You say a child will just go and withdraw 50,000 naira. What is he going to use it for? I was in one of the universities in the south, and I had a situation where a parent was worried. And the man has the money. It's not that he doesn't have the money. A child who is supposed to be in 400 level was not even in any department. And was paying school fees. How many of these parents get interested in the results of their children? How many of them come to the school and say, please, can I know the progress of my children so far? How many of them do? You can't keep the responsibility of the teacher. Yes, the teacher will do his best. Well, of course, sorry, like I said, I'm not bragging about my university, but mentoring is very, very key. Mentoring, teachers are attached to students to mentor. So it is easier for me. Listen to me, I can be in a class of 200 students in my university. And I know who is not there. What do I need to do? The ones that are familiar to me, I'll just call your name. Is James Adaji here? If he's not there, I know he'll not come to class. So the next is when I get to the office, I'll call him. Show up. He comes. Why are you not in class? If you don't have any explanation, I'll just call your parents, send a message. Your child does not attend classes. So come and ask him why he does not attend classes. Let us know why. I saw a student. He was shocked. I think for him, how could I have known that he did not come to class? It was just simple psychology. Because I did a periscopic view of the class. As I saw him, I had a mental. I said, this guy, I said, hey, you have never attended my class. Follow me to my office. And he followed me. I said, you have to explain to me, or I will call your father. Immediately, he knelt down and started begging me.
So what did he say? Where has he been? What was he doing at those times?
Would you know? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what he was doing. You wouldn't know.
So if we're relating this back to back to the home, a child who is likely to skip classes for no good reasons or for whatever reasons, probably wants to go out or just to not have regard for why he is within the university.
Let me just say exactly. There are a lot of factors. There are factors. From my research, I discovered one, a student can be on his phone from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. How will you expect such student to come to class by 7 o'clock in the morning? How? Some students, most especially, you see, these things happen in some of these public universities, and of course, because some of these public universities, they do not have, how will I put it now? They do not have certain mechanisms to check who comes to class or who don't, except maybe for the, of course, you know that any student can do CA. Any student can come and tell you he has done the CA. But for us in our university, we have this mechanism of who comes to class, who does not come to class. But it will shock you to know that some students might even sneak out, especially in universities that are open, like some of these public universities, and go and drink alcohol. Drugs. And sometimes when you tell these parents, your children are on drugs. God forbid, it's not my portion. My child cannot be on drugs. Is it my grandfather's portion?
So let me bring you back to something really important, especially for the parents who are listening.
Yes.
A child who is more likely to give in to peer pressure and start to take drugs. That is if he or she had not started it from home. What are some of the characteristics?
Sorry. Let me tell you that. Most times, some of these issues, and I tell you this from my research, do not begin from the school. They begin from the home. But the parents were not aware.
So what kind of characteristics are we talking about here?
For
what are you likely to see? Or what should be likely happening at the home front of such a child?
Yes. You see, now let me tell you something. Some parents will tell you, my child is a gentleman, he's very quiet, he doesn't talk. Watch it. Watch it. My child does not socialize, he doesn't like socializing. Watch it. Et homo socialis, et homo politicus. Man is a social and a political animal. So when you are telling me that your child does not socialize, watch it. And again, you see, when you have, for example, when you have a daughter that is always indoors, she doesn't go out too. Watch it. Sometimes some parents see it as an act of being good. She's a good child. No.
So what do you advise?
They might be pretending.
That parents.
Sometimes you let something. Allow your children to make mistakes. Let them make mistakes.
Some mistakes are pretty costly.
Yes. Some mistakes are pretty costly, but again.
And we live in times that are really, really difficult, very different from what we had growing up.
You will begin as a child begins to grow, you will begin to see the tendencies, and that's why you begin to see that something happened this morning at home. As I came in from Abuja today, and I brought Tom, and I brought the Tom. I gave the second child one, I gave the first, and I gave the third one. Then I kept the remaining one on the board of this nature. And the last one, because he had finished licking that one, he now sneaked to go and pick another one. I said, stop there! He now realized that is stealing. It is wrong. And he started crying. And he came back, Daddy, I'm very, very sorry. What does that tell you? He has learned something. At the point when this Telemundo they watch, is some people don't know at the point my child will come and tell you, maybe he feels I'm angry with him. I'm going to commit suicide. I say, where is this one coming from? So I paused. I started asking questions. Where is this one want to commit suicide? So when I caught my son watching Telemundo, and while they were watching, I saw them carrying knife, and I said, what is happening? Okay, suicide, and linked it. So one day, I don't say anything to him. I already told him, go and sleep. It's time to sleep. So one day again, I pretended to have gotten angry. I'm going to commit suicide. I said, hey, come here. Suicide is evil. Suicide is bad. Suicide is the killing of oneself. And when you kill yourself, if you die, God will reject you and put you in hellfire. Repeat after me. Suicide is the killing of oneself. And he repeated, suicide is the killing of oneself. 3 days later, the second one, I will kill myself. I said, then the first one now said, don't kill yourself. That is suicide. Is the killing of oneself. I have tutored the first one, and now he's transferred it now to the second one. Since that day, I never had it in my house again. So parents should be very, very detailed of every attitude their child displays. What if I had taken for granted the stealing, the carrying of that tom-tom? Of course, I knew only way to carry a tom-tom, thinking that, oh, my dad is I would have ordinarily left him. But I said, no, that was a bad sign. And immediately I addressed it.
So here we are now with this issue of the digital age
Yes.
being upon us.
Yes.
The television,
Yes.
the phones of all sorts, the
Yes.
Androids, the iPhones. How do we prevent the children from imbibing things like this when we also need to keep them up with the times?
You see, Jacqueline, it will be sheer stupidity to give Android phone to a child who is still in primary school. That's just stupidity. What impression do you want to create? It will be nonsense to buy a child a phone, even in secondary school.
In secondary school?
I'm telling you, he doesn't need it. Secondary school, and that's why Catholic schools all over that I know, no child goes into that school with a phone. And that's why because one of the ways I tell people in Veritas University, once you are entering, you have access to complete internet facilities. So students
you
are always
certainly pay for these.
Students are always happy and excited when they hear that there's what. Why? Because they know that where they are not allowed to use. So there's nothing wrong if you don't give the child a phone in the university, because at that point the child at least should be able to know his right from his left. So buying a phone, and sometimes parents buy this phone for this student not for any reason. My child has an Android phone. My child, it is from there they'll begin to chat. They have WhatsApp.
But by your own submission, Timothy,
yes.
You said allow these children make mistakes, allow them open their eyes up to what the world is, and yet on the other hand you're saying don't give them phones.
Not a conscious mistake. You don't. What I mean, let them be who they are. Let them just be who they are. Let them be who they are. But I will not push the child to make mistakes by giving him a phone. I will not do that.
How is giving a phone making a mistake?
Yeah, because by the child using that phone, a lot of things can come into play. So many things. So
I hope you also have put into cognizance the fact that we are in a unique era.
No, it doesn't matter.
The types of which we have never seen.
I'm not saying the child cannot hold a phone. I'm only saying wait until he has either finished secondary school.
And I'm saying that you cannot wait.
If the child must hold a phone, why not give him 3310?
Mr. Dokpesi, while you are doing all these adverts for all these brands, let's come back and think about what we're doing here.
Yes, yeah.
The issue is we have a unique situation. Like I said, COVID has never happened, at least not in this generation. So you have even a unique situation where schools are going online. And of course, let's not forget the fact that we have an issue with insecurity.
Yeah, but even if schools are going online, I can't leave Android phone. If they're online, I guide them with the online. The phone is with me. I don't get. It's my phone, so I communicate.
That is because probably you're a lecturer and you have the time to be with them.
Yes.
Parents who need to go to work.
Parents who need to go to work. Also fine. If parents need to go to work, then you need people. Do you leave your children alone, all alone in the house? There are people with them. During COVID-19, parents were at home. They were at home too. Were they not at home?
Not all parents, though. There are some with special,
even they have special people. There are people they keep on ground. Some of them have people who stay with them. They have nieces who stay with them. They have nephews. They have cousins who stay with them. And moreover, who tells you that even when they child and I keep saying it. Yes, it is true that a lot of these private schools were looking for alternatives. Yes, no doubt. And of course, we know why they were looking for alternatives.
Right.
They need to pay teachers. It's very important. No doubt about that. But like I keep saying, you understand? There is no how you will give it. And moreover, how many children can actually even operate? I know they can operate, but I know how many of them can go to the level of interaction with their teachers to know what they want. For example, you are telling a child to solve mathematics through his phone. How?
Well, this is what we have, and this is what people have been doing. Okay? And how do you know? While we were talking about all of this and doing research, and we had our IT guy tell us about research that he found that said 1 in 500? Yeah. 5,000. Just 1 in 1,000 young adults is not addicted to porn. This is really worrying. Because I know that I have been browsing on my own when porn adverts just pop up. This is part of what technology is doing. So if you do not even allow your children to experience this and be able to talk to them about it, if you give them the analog phones like you were talking about, at the time when they come in contact or they finally are given phones that are smart by you or whomever at whatever point in their lives, you think they're not going to find themselves.
That is why I said parental guidance is very, very important here. And like I said, I am giving my child an Android phone to use. I will not just give him the phone to go away with it. It's not possible. I will get it. And if anything of sort pops up, it's not left for you to tell the child, this is bad. You don't need to watch this. But the question is, how many child will listen to that? Because a child's curiosity will want to, the nature of the child is to want to know what is there. I know what I'm saying? And that's the danger. And so the best bet is, look, the best bet is, even if my child must use my phone, I must be there to guide the child. And
will you be there forever, Mr. Didi?
If I will not be there forever, if I will not be there forever, let me tell you something. I think at that point, I will wait. When the COVID will not be there forever. The COVID will not be there forever. But the point is that yes, we are responding to a critical situation. But a critical situation needs new innovations.
Hold it there. We'll go on a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we'll be taking your calls and then, of course, hearing back from you. Stay with us. Still with Mr. Timothy Dokpesi in the house, and talking about the moral decay, the decay in the fabric, our cultural fabric in Nigeria. And we've been talking, and like I said in my preamble, it is a huge situation that we have on our hands. However, I don't know if I would say that it's ever too late to start to make amends, start to correct some of the things that we need to correct, so that our tomorrow will be better than the picture that we're getting right now. We're live, of course, on Facebook, and it is time for us to start to take questions from you. You might want to ask some questions at this time. Particularly for those who have children in the university, you might be asking some peculiar questions about situations. How can you circumvent things like that? However, before we go, I would like to quickly announce that I will be having Wisdom talk to parents quickly about how to set the devices of your children's phones, or their tabs, on how to ensure, or even their laptops, how to ensure that they don't wander off into sites that you do not want, especially seeing as how it's not everyone who can be there. And the lines are open. The numbers are 081 40,000 989 and 0708 7800 989. Once again, 081 40,000 989 and 0708 7800 989. Before our calls come in, Engineer Emmanuel, I see his call already. Let's go take his call, and then I'll come back and ask you a question. Hello, good evening. Good evening.
Evening, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. Quickly, Engineer.
Yes, sir. I think that's what you're about to ask me.
Engineer, your line is not clear. Hello? Unfortunately, your line isn't clear, Engineer, so we'll have to let you go and then see if you can call us back again. But the question I wanted to quickly ask you, Mr. Adidi, is Mr. Timothy Adidi, is this the matter of results and students going for years, for 100 level, 200, 300, without parents really knowing? Why do these universities, let's not even talk about public, let's talk about the private universities, does it not behove on a private university to ensure that you're emailing results to parents?
Yeah, it is done, and in fact, you can even check results online. The issue is not, do some parents even care to check? That's the question.
All right, let's go take some calls again. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, you're welcome. Quickly, your name?
Okay. Jackie.
Yes.
I quite agree with your resource person.
Your name, please?
TK. I'm based in Lagos, but I'm not in Kaduna.
You said you're where?
Because I'm in town now, in Kaduna.
Okay, I asked for your name. It's great that you joined us from Lagos.
Okay.
Your name,
TK.
please?
Just a TK.
Okay, TK, you're welcome. Please go ahead quickly.
You see, I quite agree with your resource person.
Mm-hmm.
While growing up as a young boy, what did my Mom sent me out, and I met an older person who was coming to our house, and they asked whether my mom was in. I just greeted him casually, and I said yes, and I left. By the time I came back, I met the older man with my mom, and my mom said, "Didn't you see somebody? Greet now." I said, "Nobody boy." I said, "I've greeted him." And the man said, "No, I've never greeted him." And I said, "I saw you outside." And she said, "How did I greet him? I had to prostrate." That thing took me down to Lagos like that experience. What we do now, we are spoiling our children. I have a boy. When he was in JFS2 in Lagos, I bought him a phone. What did he do with that phone? I had to collect back that phone from him because he was not matured enough to use it. Now he's matured. One thing I noticed, every day he's on that phone. In the night, he's on that phone. Then he coded his phone, his Android phone. Guess what? I told him, let me born you before you start using phone. I know. Jackie, when I took that what I said was another thing. I had to call him to sit down. This is not how life is all about. So everybody is saying we have to follow with the time.
Uh-oh.
When I was here.
Your line is breaking up, so you might want to round up quickly.
Okay, when I was growing up, there was nothing like this phone now. And I maintained myself. So I quite agree with your resource person. We should teach our children time of want and time of happiness. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To let your children experience what it is like to not have, even if it is an artificial one, you can do this. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yes. Good
Hello?
evening. Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Good evening.
You're welcome, sir. Your name?
This is Reverend Jonathan Haruna.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I want to thank God for our resource person and also his humble beginning. You see, what we need today is the grace of God. In handling our children, we need wisdom. Let me tell you the truth. Most of these children, I have a kid.
We have less than 30 seconds, sir.
Sorry?
We have less than 30 seconds, unfortunately. Sorry, sir. Go ahead, but just quickly.
Yes. Who is 50 years now? Almost every day, I have to check his phone when he's back from school. I will collect the phone, go through the phone. If there's anything I have to question him, I will do it. I think parents, just as our brother says, we need to be, to extraordinarily put effort on our children in this issue of phone, because it has been, in fact, a virus to all of us parents today in our society. So I want to thank God that, in fact, He has opened the eyes of many parents today that we need to, in fact, to put our effort to see that our kids, look, the issue of phone is not even the matter. How is their life from home? Thank you, and God bless you.
And thank you so much, Reverend, for chipping in this evening. Quickly, at this point, I would like to call on our IT person in the person of Wisdom Agulana. Let Wisdom quickly give us some ways in which we can block these devices from wandering off into spaces where we don't really want to have our children exploring. Quickly, Wisdom.
Okay, good evening, everyone. All right, so let me just get down to the details. Now, if you're operating an Android phone and you want to restrict, you want to set up parental restrictions on an Android phone. So, first thing, all you need to do is go to settings. That's settings on your Android phone. Scroll down a bit and tap users. Especially if, for most latest Android phones, they are available. Then add a user profile. Then from the user profile, you will see selected restrictions that you can select for user. Then you have to create that account and set a password. Now, the password as a parent should be known to just you.
The parent.
Just you, the parent. So the kids don't have access to log off from that setting.
From that setting.
Yes.
Okay, so I see that you have a very long process
Yes, I'm
here.
trying to.
Can we have you put this up on our Facebook page as a post?
Yes. Regarding what you said, I'm going to put this on our social media handles. Then I'm still going to bring this as a topic on ITfied on Wednesday.
That would be great.
Yes.
That would be great. And ITfied is every Wednesday at 12:30. So Wisdom will also be talking about this on Wednesday. Please join us at that time. You should always be with us, but I mean, like particularly, you might want to sit in for this one. But I'll also have Wisdom put this up as a post on our Facebook page so that you can take your time, go through it, and follow up on those phones. Well, thank you very much, Wisdom Agunlana, for helping us. I know that he will do this, so you can keep a date with us. But quickly, in our closing, Mr. Didi, your words to all who are listening, and to us even in the studio.
Parental responsibility, parental guidance is an integral part of of our children's development. It should not be taken for granted. Every step a child makes, think deep, read the implications of it, and act fast, or else the child will take it for granted. The child grows up with it and think it is a norm. My dear friends, this is the best I can say. Thank you.
Well, once again, would like to thank you, Mr. Timothy Adidi Dokbesi. Not a stranger to us here at Invicta. We look forward to having you with us in the nearest future. The job of repairing the decadence and decay in our moral fabric in this society is yours and mine. We must continue to strive to ensure that our children have a better tomorrow. It is our responsibility. Do remain victorious.